everyone. Doing something a little bit different this time for Topaz Mountain.
On second thought, I won't. Bad sound, couldn't remember enough information. Maybe on the next video I'll do a walk and talk. On September 11th, 1942, the Topaz Mountain Internment Camp, sometimes called the Relocation Camp, opened its barbed wire gates. After the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, fears that any Japanese living in the United States would help our new enemy resulted in 120,000 people, 2/3 of them U.S. citizens, being incarcerated for years in one of 10 camps. In reality, this was a concentration camp. Not to be confused with the Nazi death camps, these held U.S. citizens that never got a chance to defend themselves, a right guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. Over 11,000 people passed through the gates at Topaz, although some were relocated later. A peak population of 8,130 people were forced to live here over its 3-year lifespan. The residential area was 1 square mile. To help put that in perspective, Salt Lake City is roughly 1,800 people per square mile. Around 65% were American-born Japanese called Nisei, and 35% were Issei, Japanese-born immigrants legally barred from getting U.S. citizenship. 80% came from the San Francisco Bay Area. The other 20% came from rural agricultural communities in California. In fact, virtually all of them came from the West Coast. They were forced from their homes, selling everything they owned with only a couple of weeks' notice. Anything they couldn't sell, they abandoned, including family pets, which they were forbidden from bringing. Stores closed and restaurants shuttered as people were rounded up and sent to one of these 10 camps. Those who lived east of the line defining Military Area 1 weren't taken to the camps, although they did suffer extreme hostility from non-Japanese in the communities they called home. One of my favorite episodes of Star Trek, The Drumhead, covers the same fear and condemnation in a way, in my opinion, few could equal.
We cannot take a fundamental principle of the Constitution and turn it against a citizen.
Sir, the Federation does have enemies. We must seek them out.
Oh, yes. That's how it starts. The road from legitimate suspicion to rampant paranoia is very much shorter than we think. Have we become so fearful? Have we become so cowardly that we must extinguish a man because he carries the blood of a current enemy?
Dr. Seuss, who gave us such wonderful books like Cat in the Hat and Green Eggs and Ham, drew war propaganda. In 1953, he visited Japan to research the effects of the war on Japanese children. After witnessing the horrific aftermath of the atomic bomb and meeting locals, his attitude changed. He deeply regretted the hateful propaganda and spent the rest of his life writing about the prejudices he had weaponized. Horton Hears a Who was written as an apology to those he hurt. A person's a person, no matter how small. Surrounding the camp were 7 guard towers, equipped with machine guns and searchlights. 3 to 4 officers and around 120 enlisted men of the U.S. Army Military Police were stationed here. The 1 square mile residential area was surrounded by a 4-foot-tall barbed wire fence. While the fence doesn't seem like much, you have to remember that the nearest town was 10 miles away through arid desert. In total, the camp consisted of 31 square miles, which included farmland and animals. The camps were intended to be completely self-sufficient. The homes they had on camp were small, uninsulated plywood and tar paper shacks that the prisoners were forced to build themselves. Temperatures in the summer regularly broke 100 degrees, and winters frequently dropped below zero. On April 11, 1943, James Hitsukai Wakasa, who was hard of hearing, was walking his dog. While they weren't allowed to bring family pets, many people adopted stray animals to keep them company. A sentry panicked at his proximity to the western fence and shot and killed James Wakasa. His killing was ruled as justified by the court-martial trial. In June 1943, it was discovered that a monument to James' memory had been erected. The people were ordered to remove it. The monument and even the rocks used to build it were removed from the camp. Life went on as normal as possible for people imprisoned for their ancestry. Art, music, baseball, worship, school, and community gatherings. There were 384 births recorded at Topaz and 139 deaths, James Wakasa being the only one killed by a guard. While there was an area set aside and dedicated as a cemetery, no records of it being used exist. The museum in Delta has a large collection of artwork that has been donated. Much of the artwork displayed here was made by gluing small seashells together. Thousands of years ago, this desert area was under Lake Bonneville, a massive ancient sea. The abundant seashells left behind became a natural resource used to create beauty out of their isolation. From these fenced camps came the 14,000-man 442nd Regimental Combat Team. They became front-line breakers. Going to some of the most brutal terrain in the European theater, they broke German lines other units couldn't. Today, the 442nd remains the most decorated unit in U.S. military history. 21 Medals of Honor, 52 Distinguished Service Crosses, 560 Silver Stars, 4,000 Bronze Stars, 9,486 Purple Hearts, 8 Presidential Unit Citations, the highest honor a military unit can receive as a collective whole. Trying to avoid confusion, people from Korea and China wore buttons or signs to say they weren't Japanese. On October 31st, 1945, the camp closed. The buildings were sold off and removed. By 1947, all that was left is what you see here. Few moved back to their homes. There was nothing left for them. Many settled in Salt Lake City in an area called Japtown. Little of this area remains today, as much of it was torn down in 1969 to build the Salt Palace.
Thank you all very much. The members of Congress and distinguished guests, my fellow Americans, we gather here today to right a grave wrong. More than 40 years ago, shortly after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, 120,000 persons of Japanese ancestry living in the United States were forcibly removed from their homes and placed in makeshift internment camps. Scores of Japanese Americans volunteered for our armed forces, many stepping forward in the internment camps themselves. The 442nd Regimental Combat Team, made up entirely of Japanese Americans, served with immense distinction to defend this nation, their nation. Here we reaffirm our commitment as a nation to equal justice under the law. America stands unique in the world, the only country not founded on race, but on an ideal. Not in spite of, but because of our polyglot background, we have had all the strength in the world. That is the American way. The name of that young, I hope I pronounced this right, was Ronald Reagan. And yes, the ideal of liberty and justice for all, that is still the American way. Thank you and God bless you. And now let me sign H.R. 442, so fittingly named in honor of the 442nd.
In 1980, Congress established a commission to investigate the supposed need for these camps. They concluded that this atrocity was not from military necessity, but racial prejudice, war hysteria, and a failure of political leadership. These Japanese concentration camps are a remnant of one of the darkest periods in U.S. history, a time when the government justified the imprisonment of its own citizens based entirely on fear. Thank you for joining me on this deeply sensitive topic.